Hey, how's it going, everybody? Tony here. Hope you're doing well. Just wanted to go over what I'm seeing in Bitcoin now. Last week, I gave like maybe 5, 6 different scenarios of what I was looking for, and a couple things played out, but it was some false hope there for a second, for me at least. And then we had to readjust pretty quickly there. So, just going to go over what we were initially looking for. Essentially, my ideal setup here was that we were going to get one more leg up. There's several different possible ways of doing that. Either we popped up here and dumped down, or we just went straight up, came up, and then went down. I was thinking about 90 was the ideal spot for me, but it was all based on the futures open, and that's what I waited for. And when I saw that the futures open was kind of pushing up and it gapped up, I kind of figured we were going to just go for the pops. So I was able to take advantage of that. That played out pretty good here. But I think in the end, what actually tripped me up here was the reclaim or the bounce off of this level. That was one of my more bullish possibilities that I was watching for, was that we would get a pop up here. We would turn this back into support here, since we saw it was playing as resistance back all the way back here. So a reclaim of this was more on the bullish side. So I ended up taking a long here and then taking a long, adding to my long here, which ended up falling out. And that's when things started shifting to the bearish side. Right here, I was still a little bit bullish. I was still happy in my position. I put my stop loss right underneath there. Since this was a nice looking corrective move, I figure if we start breaking down, it's either going to go deeper than I want to go, and I can always re-enter back down here with a better entry, or we were going to dump down. And my larger idea that this was a corrective move up, a possible motive, possible, fakery. But in the end, I was looking for this move up here, a deeper retracement between this range before we get a swift move down. And that's what we ended up getting after we got the news on Friday. Everything ended up dumping down. And as you can see, our levels turned back into resistance as it fell down. So that's kind of what I was looking for last time. My ideal setup played out. I did take some longs in here just in case, but those ended up getting stopped out. And obviously, because of this move, I ended up getting all that back just from this move down on the various other coins that I was looking at. So that was kind of the revamp last week. I was thinking bearish. This was still corrective, and that we were going to move lower down eventually. If you want to see the whole idea that I had, please go back and watch the video. But that was kind of the basics. It worked out this time. So now what am I looking for? I think this was the ideal setup for me, was a no-brainer pattern. I didn't care what it was, just as long as it was a nice clear pattern that we could all take advantage of. The trader in me is going to look for clarity. The investor for me is going to hope for up all the time, but I'm not going to change my bias or readjust my count to fix what I want. I'm going to be looking for patterns that the chart is giving me, and that's how I'm going to take advantage of the situation. One of my deals here was that this is a possible C of a triangle, and essentially this would be a corrective running triangle. We're going to come down, and then we're going to move down to lower prices. Everything's matching up pretty good. We got 3-wave move up here, 3-wave move down, and then we have a 3-wave move up here in the form of a double zigzag, in my opinion. We still do have a 3-wave move with this move here. Everything seems to be fitting pretty decently for the triangle possibility here. We have to watch how this kind of progresses. I think we do have a 3-wave move here. Could be some kind of triangle, a corrective move down. So this could be putting in the E-wave before we end up moving down. And these levels that we've been watching for the last couple weeks are still in effect. They gave us a little fake out here and then ended up dumping back down. So now it's all about how we react when we get back to these levels, if we do. We could just dump down, obviously. I'm looking for some kind of corrective back up to these areas to add to my short for a potential move down and the completion of a potential triangle. It could be something bigger, something I'm missing. I'll have to zoom out and look, but that's kind of what I'm looking at and watching, is these levels right here to play and add to my short if we end up getting a retrace up. We end up putting in some kind of impulsive move. I think this level 84 to 85 is a good spot for a wave 4. Could be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and still have that 3-wave look. If we end up putting in, or we see it as a convincing impulse will move down, I think we still need 2 wave 4s to come in. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, something to that effect before we move up for the E and finish the triangle. Just going to throw these on here real quick, just kind of see what that looks like. Wish I had that on there sooner, because that looks pretty good right there. And then we're looking for anything to hold within the interior of this range right here to stay as a 3-wave move. Since we have our supposed complex wave here, we're looking for just a basic, ordinary, everyday zigzag here to lean more toward this being a completing triangle. It's not complete until it's complete, so we'll have to see how this moves out, but that is what I'm looking for, is this retrace right here, how it finishes if we end up coming in deeper and finishing this as a 3-wave move down. I think that's a lot more confidence that this could be a possible triangle. Nothing's for certain, but I think either way, a move up to 84, 85 up in this area here, it's not a bad spot. Now, I've already taken profit here, so I will be adding here just as a possibility that this could be ending the triangle move down. So yeah, the larger time frame, we're looking at this. We broke this level here that we were watching, came back to retest several times, and this one was just a weak ass attempt. So it doesn't look the most bullish, in my opinion. Everything could change here. This could be some kind of diagonal like people are hoping for. And we could be heading up. I want to see if this level down here holds and we start bouncing up. And as soon as we start reclaiming those levels, I think we're good. But one other thing I wanted to talk about that I kind of teased in the Discord was the Hail Mary trade for the bulls here. So since we are getting closer to the end of the quarter, the end of the month, and all that stuff, thinking there could be some kind of trickery or fuckery involved in the next couple days and potentially even tonight. So I'll be watching this pretty closely tonight on how we end up opening on ES. So you can see here on ES that we look a little sus. We have a swift move down here, and we have a 3-wave move up here, and then we're getting some more swift moves down. This is looking like we're in the wave 3 of an impulsive move. It's all going to depend on what happens here at the open. I'll be looking for it to come up to this level here at 56.54 as a correction to offset this wave 2 for a wave 5. So let me just put this back on. I think this level here is going to be the next level that bulls have to contend with on the ES to bounce up. We could be putting in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need the 4s and the 5s to know exactly where we are. This could just be, A, B, C up, A, B, C down, but we have to come back and invalidate this impulse here to be sure, because this swift move down is looking like a standard 3-wave kind of move, swiftest move. So we'll have to see exactly what happens at the futures open. It's going to be kind of a huge decision point here as to what the market wants to do or what we can kind of see in the future. We hit 618 to the tick and off the golden zone, so and off a level. So we'll see how it opens. I think this is a good spot for a potential reaction at least, and we'll have to see if we get a swift move up. Everything might be a little bit better for the bulls. If we end up doing some kind of crazy sideways BS right here, we'll be looking for a wave 4 or 5 at least to come and complete and potentially take this low out. If this low gets taken out, not looking great for the bulls. I have the hopium on ES that this is some kind of diagonal move up. Since we did take out this pivot here, that kills the potential for a 1-2, 1-2. And then we're all back to bull glory here. But this isn't looking great down. Futures Open is going to have to happen. And then opens, US Open tomorrow is going to be kind of a huge event too. And that gets us closer and closer to April 1st or April Fool's Day. I think I remember a couple years ago, April Fool's Day for Bitcoin did bring a blast up, and I'll have to do some more research to see what that was all about and what that encompassed. But it is a possibility that this is all some kind of trickery to get us into the second corner, and we blast up, knock everybody out, grab some liquidity here, have everybody capitulate and say game over, and then we reverse up and start heading back up. The Elliott wouldn't look the greatest if we end up doing something like that. But how many times have we been caught with our pants down, having to go back and reconfigure something we thought was a no-brainer, whatever, 3-wave, 5-wave, and then all of a sudden things change and we get taken off guard, and then we have to go back and reconfigure things. I think the Hail Mary trade, or the Hail Mary thing I see, is that we're going to get some kind of dump either today or tomorrow. Everyone's going to say game over. It's going to be huge. And then April 1st comes, or someday around April 1st comes, and we're going to do a bounce. We could open up and just, continue dumping. But that's what I'm looking for as far as the Hail Mary goes. So back to Bitcoin. Same thing here. I think this is corrective. Could be an ABC and then we dump, but I think I wouldn't be surprised, let's put it that way, where we just dump today or tomorrow down to this level here, find some support, and then there's a potential we could bounce up for the bulls. I'm looking for that, but I'm not, and I may play it depending if I'm at the keyboard or not, but that is a possibility that I can see here, that because of the timing of everything, we might see a capitulation move and then a V-shaped recovery. So since we're out here, I might as well just go over what I think could happen with this. If we are doing some kind of corrective move, which I think is a possibility because of this, if we are putting in some kind of WXY down or something, ABC, something like that, we're looking for a 1-to-1. If we end up finishing here, let's see where that puts us. So if we have this as our primary actionary wave, and then we're going to get somewhere around here for our reactionary wave, put a 1-to-1 for our secondary actionary wave, and that puts us closer to 61K or 60K, which I think is, puts us closer down to these old highs back here. So I think there is a possibility we go down and test some of these other ones if we do end up dumping in the next couple days. If this is corrective, we're still in a correction and we're going to end up moving down here. That's all subverted if we start flipping these levels back to support and take out some of these bigger levels before the bulls have my confidence, and I think that things are kind of turning around. But to go ahead and wrap everything up and keep this nice and concise, I think it's all about these levels here. The first one being 84 to 85 area. If we get a nice correction up here, we could be putting in some kind of impulsive move down still. If we end up breaking this, I'll be watching for this to be the potential E wave here, to be a completed triangle potentially, and then we're going to get a move down. So there's a lot of stuff in this area that we have to consider if we are going to be bearish on this thing. If we start blasting up, we start flipping these levels to support like we did here. I thought this was a decent looking move that could have led to some upside. Unfortunately, some other events happened and we ended up falling over, but this is what we're looking for. Something like this, a break above a level, corrective move back to it, and then continuation. And unfortunately, that the continuation part didn't happen on this move. But that's trading. That's just what I'm thinking at the second here. Things could change in a matter of minutes, but we'll have to wait and see if we can pull any potential moves out of the PA that prints. That's all we can really do, is look for nice, clear setups and play off of our method. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you had a good weekend. Trade safe, trade clarity. Take it easy. Bye.